It's recording now. Hello, it's April 14th, 2021, and it's a SIG Node CI meeting. Today we, yeah, let's get to agenda. We have many people joining, so if you would put your name into agenda document, it would be great. Let me paste the agenda document in chat. Let me share my screen. Can you see it?
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, I put some agenda items here as I promised, I wanted to get into smaller items. So let's go through agenda first, and then we'll do triage of items on a board. And then, as usual, we will go to product issue triage as well. So first, I wanted to highlight this kubetest update. There is a PR that updating kubetest to support, like we want to switch to kubetest, and kubetest has many benefits, like it will allow to run locally, like just take a command line from test execution and run test locally with kubetest, which is great. And this PR starting this migration, so it's has a subset of features. I see David Porter already reviewed it, so but this PR may need more eyes. Does anybody else wants to take a look?
It looks like it's also already approved. Who approved it?
I think the author.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they just have approver.
Yeah. David, are you okay to look at it more?
Oh, this is kubetest 2.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about this. This is like some Google thing that I was like, what is the context for this?
Yes, so I can maybe give just a little bit background. I actually wanted to get other people's feedback here. So basically the summary there is that right now for all the CI tests, we are currently using like kubetest 1. And so these people are, I'm on here, it's trying to move to kubetest 2. The thing that I wanted to bring up and get feedback from other people that I kind of brought up on the PR is that currently for kubetest 1, for all of our CI jobs, we basically you use kubetest and there's like certain flags like -- node test args, etc. And so all of our CI jobs are set up to use that. But for people who run the ETE test locally, we also have like this make thing. So you can run it from make, like make node test ETE, and then you pass in tests and stuff. So there's like kind of 2 interfaces right now for running an end-to-end node test. And so the PR here for kubetest 2 is trying to move to that make target, as opposed to like how the kubetest 1 stuff does it. So the consequence there is we're going to have to migrate all of our CI jobs and reconfigure them for this new interface. So I was just bringing up kind of in the PR if that makes sense, if we want to standardize on that, or if we want to kind of just copy over kind of the same interface as kubetest 1. So that was kind of what I was describing on the doc, but I'm not, it'd be good to get other people's feedback there. So, yeah.
So do you like this approach more, or you don't like, that's why you want support of not liking it?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I don't have too strong feelings. My just concern is like, someone's gonna have to go through and like migrate all of the tests to use this new interface. So that's.
I mean, if y'all are volunteering.
Sorry?
If y'all are volunteering, I don't have any objections.
Yes, I mean, I personally don't see the big value in kind of doing that, honestly. So that's sort of why I was bringing up perhaps.
I see.
Perhaps it just makes sense to have the same interface with kubetest 1, because I wasn't clear really what the issue was with it. But
yeah,
if you
as I said,
valuable, then yeah. So that's kind of why I was bringing this up, because
I don't really have a lot of context on kubetest 1 versus kubetest 2, and if this is inevitable, and if the interfaces have to be the same or not. So I think it would be useful if somebody like went and did a brief write-up, like justifying what they want, what the changes they're making. Like it doesn't have to be cap level of write-up, but like, a couple of paragraphs, because like people keep asking me to look at this. I'm like, I don't know what you want me to say. Like this is probably the second or third time I've looked at this PR and been like, what do you need from me? What are you asking me to give you an opinion on? Because I don't really know. So.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm not really the one driving this, but if you want to leave a comment on there and ask for a little more clarification, that would be good. Yeah.
Hey, just a quick question / comment from my side. I would like to have a look and learn indeed more about context, just because Node end-to-end tests are a bit special, meaning they create their own mini cluster with the AP server, etcd. They're not really part of the regular end-to-end test, let's say, as far as I know. So I'm really looking forward I'm really curious to learn a bit more, and because I'm saying so as a consumer of tests, I'm not really that much into infra, and that looks like a great opportunity for me to learn a bit. So my question is this part of process to move the Node end-to-end test to make them more similar to other end-to-end tests, or is completely unrelated?
I think the whole idea is just an interface, like to launch the test. It's still going to be completely separate. It's just like a different CLI, different like args, but it eventually calls into the same stuff. So.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
So who wants to take an action to ask for justification document or some like, I would say not just justification, but also like explanation what will need to happen after this PR is merged. Do you want to take this action item? Or I can.
I think David Porter should do it because he has the most context right now. Sorry to volunteer you.
Yeah. I mean, I can ask, sure. I mean, I think I actually sort of understand the changes. The question is like whether we want to do it and who wants to do it on our team or in SIG Node, you know? So that's kind of the bigger question, I think, but.
Okay, so we need basically estimation of migration effort. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything else in Kubernetes 2 that will benefit us besides this like change of interface?
Not to my knowledge. I mean, it calls into the same test as it does today, right? It's just a different kind of.
Okay.
Different
So the
launcher.
whole idea of Kubernetes 2 is a different way to execute tests. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Francesca. Okay, you added the node. Okay. So second item, I looked at our test grid, and now we cleaned up all the SIG ownership across all the projects. And before, most of this test had two SIGs. Like for instance, this test had like SIG node and SIG network, but now we cleaned up specifically like detached. Like only picked one SIG owning the test. So this way, you know who to ask if it fails. And for instance, here I see that one of the SIG storage thingy, I think this is SIG storage, was flaking, like maybe next one. And I just realized that like this is not SIG node, it's SIG storage, and the SIG storage team may not even know about this test failing or being flaky, and we are not looking at it because it's SIG storage. So I'm thinking we need to delete and like move all SIG storage tests out of our test grid and move it to under SIG storage and SIG network under SIG network. So if we go to test grid, there is a SIG network, for instance. And I don't think they are running any tests from SIG node folder, which are SIG network tests. So the effort is basically add the skip for our test grid to remove SIG network. But before that, we need to get an agreement with other SIGs to pick up this test and run them as part of their test grid. It can either be done on Slack or just join their meeting once and discuss it. Is there any takers for either of this task? By the way, what do you think? Is it reasonable? Any objections? One drawback I see is this test, like right now, they execute all together. With a move, they will need to be executed separately. So we will like waste a little bit of resources on spinning up infrastructure and tearing it down. But I don't think it's a big concern. I'm more worried that other teams are not looking into a test that belongs to them. Anybody wants to go to SIG storage or SIG network meeting and talk about it?
Sergey, what's the main motivation to remove and split these tests? Because looks like we are running the SIG network tests in our SIG Node environment and have some changes in this. I think it still makes sense to run the SIG network in this job.
So my biggest motivation is I'm not sure whether they, like anybody from those SIGs are looking at this test failures. So if tests will fail, like for instance, this test that I showed in 118, and 118 will need to be removed soon. But I'm not sure whether this test is, yeah, this is maybe the best example. But ultimately, like if tests start failing, and it is failing because we picked a bad cherry pick, like we took a bad cherry pick for the release. There is no mechanism to notify the SIG network team and make them fix it.
Okay. Yeah, I have seen only
this is
the
my motivation.
SCTP tests. I have only this SCTP test failing. I didn't see any other test from SIG network, but maybe this makes sense.
Yeah, and that's why I'm asking opinion here as well. If
Oh yeah, I'm favoring isolate only the ones that are flaky. The others, I think, is a good idea to still running.
okay, it's like SIG storage is like so many tests on the SIG storage here. So okay, so okay, let me rephrase it. So you would prefer to keep him?
Yeah, I vote to keep them. And maybe remove all the flake ones. Like the SCTP, but this corner case.
So ultimately we need to, I mean, if you keep in them, we need to have a way to notify SIG network or SIG storage if they're failing, right? Okay, I will create an issue to discuss it, and maybe like the way to notify them will be to just create an issue and poke them on Slack. Just yeah, okay, let's see. I don't really want to be this person who like coordinates all the SIGs and trying to like, do stuff.
Okay.
Okay. The next big thing is we have this conformance tab completely broken. Something with infrastructure, I believe, because nothing is running. Basically, all tests are failing. And yeah, that biggest.
Not so critical, huh? Yeah, I would love to see this fixed so we can see if the tests are actually, testing.
Yeah, I think one good thing about it is some of these tests are covered by release blocking.
Yeah, I'm sure they're run elsewhere, so.
Yeah. Any takers? I can create an issue for that and what like. Should be easy fix.
We have some new faces on the call. Would anybody like to look into this who has not previously volunteered for something?
I can take a look.
Thank you, Chidang. I'll create an issue and paste it here and mention you. Thank you. And yeah, another tab that is totally red. Like there are many like flaky things in our test grid, but these two tabs are like super broken, and it's supposed to be a very easy fix because likely when something is that broken, it's just infrastructure issue. So serial tests are also like all red, and it's also likely infrastructure issue. There anybody wants to take a look at this serial test? No.
Hey, Francesco here. If there are no volunteers, put my name on it. I cannot promise I can have a look before next meeting, but I will try. No. I mean this week, not until. I cannot promise this week. Let's say up until next week, but I will try. So put my name on it and let's sync again next week.
Okay. I'll create issue then and mention that maybe not immediately. Okay, and last thing that caught my attention is this Teams is trying to, like, we have multi-zone tests. We have 3 of them. And I think these tests are likely validating something, some latency and network issues. We have tests for like just running all the tests except disruptive and slow, running specifically ingress tests that may discover some problem with how ingress is deployed and how it runs across clusters and across zones, not clusters, and containerd tests. So basically all multi-zone tests are currently broken, and I'm trying to understand, like, Jim's suggestion to just remove multi-zone completely, and I'm trying to dig into history whether those tests, like, I bet those tests were added for a reason. It's not like we, I mean, somebody just from a goodness of their heart to add in some tests for multi-zone. So maybe they caught some like regression or something in Kubernetes before.
Presumably multi-zone exists because cloud provider supports multi-zone and needs to test it. But if they're not maintaining them, then that would be a problem. So is that like, to me, that sounds like a cloud provider thing. Should we reach out to them?
Yeah, I am cloud provider.
Oh, you are cloud provider. Okay. Well, you're only like one cloud provider, right? Like there's other clouds.
Yeah. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like they likely may expose some like assumptions that may be taken in Kubernetes around like which nodes something is located on or which zone it is running. something with networking, like maybe connectivity will be lost with the improper configuration. So, okay, I just okay. So what I was planning to do is to dig into who created this test and like why it was created, like what kind of regression we caught, and once we figure out what regression it caught, like and those tests are important, then we can get somebody to work on that. So, is there anybody who has context or who wants to take a look at multi-zone, interested in multi-zones? Okay, I will give an update next SIG meeting then.
Sounds good.
Okay, now let's go to triage really quick. So this is a multi-zone, and I will assign, self-assign. So I cleaned up everything, like needs approver, waiting on author. It's all good. So what I'd like to do right now, and I only have 3 minutes left, unfortunately, to go through unassigned issues, or like PRs, and try to find owners for that.
You can filter by no assignee in the searchy thing.
Yeah, good thing about this dashboard, it's very small. So most of the time I don't need, but yeah, thank you. Comparing to SIG Node dashboard, like product one, it's very small. So
We don't have an assignee for this one? I feel like people have looked at this.
or Ike.
Right.
So Ike was busy last week, he told me. So I expect update by next time. Same Ike. Okay. Kubernetes exit log on contention. Is it also Ike? No. Yeah, it's also Ike. Okay, Ike has 3 items and he was busy, so I will ping him and make sure he will review it. Skip some. So this is a new. Skip some unit test on Mac for Docker shim. Should be very straightforward. Any takers?
I'd suggest somebody who works with / supports Docker shim look at this one. I can take it worst case scenario, but I mostly support cryo, so I'm probably not the best choice. We have a new person in our meeting. Jiaming, do you want to do a thing? Are you interested?
Yeah, sure. But I think I don't have context on the Docker shim yet.
You will learn.
Okay.
And you can
Yeah.
ask Sergey or I for help if you want.
Mhm.
Yeah. And this should be straightforward. It's just skipping some tests and running others.
Yeah, sure. Feel free to assign.
Yeah.
To
Can
me.
you paste your GitHub handle in the chat?
Yeah, sure. It's yeah.
All right. Okay. Lifecycle handler. This is also new. This is test coverage for pre-stop and like post-start hooks. Also quite straightforward. Just one new test or maybe 5 new tests. Maybe 10 new tests.
The goalposts keep moving here.
But it's all in the same area, right? So it's just testing some lifecycle handler tests.
I'd like to have a look if no one else wants to do that. Second one. Yeah,
yeah.
that yeah, great. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, and this is, I think, follow up from the previous one. Would you like to take this one as well? So I don't understand it very well. I just briefly looked at it. So it looks like we running tests from different node, and this is supposed to fix it. Are you okay to take it as well?
Yeah, why not? Learn something new.
Thank you. And this is another. Okay, I will assign you full package, Francesca.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, works for me.
Thank you very much. And this, like, is there anybody else who wants to talk about what was assigned to him and or her, and it wasn't very straightforward or need help? If not, then I will need to drop off, and Ilana will take over for product triage.
Yep,
So
you can
please
drop
feel
and I will take
Right.
over. Thanks, Sergey.
And stop. Let me stop
Yeah,
recording. I
I
think.
can stop
Yeah.
it.
Oh, perfect. Thank